going to be tackling step 2 of the shed build. So we've got all our lumber out here. This is going to be episode 81, but part 2 of the shed build. So we've got our area already kind of pre-prepped. You saw in episode 1 he had cleared all the land, leveled it, moved all the rocks, but now we're going to put in a basically a base, and we're going to construct it all this wonderful wood right here, and then we can put the shed together. Rock and roll. JAYSTRAYS. All right, we're doing a little bit of a wood placement here, trying to arrange what the base is going to be that the 3-door shed is going to be sitting on. So that's what we're doing here in part 2 of our shed series. And you know, we got some pretty gnarly wood. Some of that stuff is pretty bowed, but what are you going to do? You know, it's hard to get really quality lumber unless you're milling it yourself. All right, JAYSTRAYS, episode 81, shed construction part 2. All right, there's the box frame out. We got 2 more ribs to stick in here for a full support floor, and then we got 2 sheets over there that we're going to be putting in as the floor, and then we can get this thing moved over there, and then the shed can get going. JAYSTRAYS, episode 81. JAYSTRAYS. All right, so there's the frame, got all the joists in there. Now you got a solid floor. This thing's kind of heavy to move. We got to put some footers over there where we're going to put it, and then we can put the sheeting on that's over in the corner. So we're almost there. This will be JAYSTRAYS episode 81, the shed build part 2. So we got a little donation of some odds and ends brick pieces so we can make a 4-point or 6-point foundation here, and got the extra long level so we can have a level playing field here. And we're gonna move that frame over there. All right, JAYSTRAYS episode 81. All right, so some leveling is taking place here. We got some footers under these corners. It's level all the way around. Looking good in the apple hood. And then we've got our sheets of wood over there. And I'm not sure, we could put a couple of more stabilizing bricks in the center, but it should be pretty strong. So that'll be our next step. Move the wood over here, and then we'll anchor it all in, and then that'll pretty much wrap this episode of JAYSTRAYS, episode 81. And then we'll have a final in our shed series, which is actually putting the shed together and then getting it mounted over there on top of that wonderful base. All right, time to get some planting done. Got to get these gardens going. So we moved some of the sheeting over here, try to get it to fit all nicely. The box is off just like a smidge. We're gonna have to kick it out a little bit. Got one more panel we got to cut and put it in there, and then we can get it all locked in. All right, JAYSTRAYS episode 81, the shed construction project part 2. All right, so here is the completed base for the shed that we're building. Got this thing pretty well dialed in. We might add a few more screws to this guy. Seems like it's in a pretty good shape. It's all level, perfectly in between my garden boxes. So yeah, that'll wrap part 2 of the shed build. So it's gonna wrap our episode 81 of JAYSTRAYS. And then so that's part 2 of the shed build, and then there'll be a part 3 of the shed build, right? So we had to plane the land. That was part 1 with the Bobcat. Part 2 was build that base, and then part 3 will be assembling the shed itself. All right, so thanks for joining me here on JAYSTRAYS, and more construction, pardon our dust. Thanks for joining us. See you in the next one.